What's up, guys? Here with your FC Wonderkid, episode 145. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
I think that Carabao Cup final is still going on as we speak. That marathon war of attrition that just happened at Wembley over the weekend was a pretty entertaining spectacle, to say the least. So I'm getting over that. Beyond MLS being back, all hemispheres, Alex, are cooking, and they're cooking in football fixtures, and I am happy to be a part of it. So I'm doing great. I'm ready for episode 145 to get moving because we got so much to talk about, including the Premier League race.
Yes.
Where do you want to start, sir?
Well, you referred well to the Carabao Cup final, and for a game that was 0-0, that was really entertaining. And Kelleher and Pektovic, I don't want to say this name wrong, were the mans of the show, okay? The goalkeepers made the match be entertaining. Kelleher, for me, was the man of the match in the 90 minutes. And, of course, the cherry on top of the cake, Virgil van Dijk, a world-class player that is a reference in the Klopp era, was the man to make it happen. With a ruled-out goal, and now with an official goal that made everything happen. Virgil van Dijk, one of the best center-backs I've seen in my life. The importance that he's had, unreal.
Yeah,
unreal.
Absolutely. He was like one of the last veterans left on the field at the end of that game, playing with teenagers that obviously exerted themselves well. But we'll talk about Liverpool more, I'm sure, in the near future. But yes, you're right. The goalkeepers in that game. Petrovic, it's been great seeing him come from the New England Revolution to Chelsea basically as a backup in the expectation that he was probably not going to get elevated to the starting role. And then injuries aside, bad form aside, here he is. And you're absolutely right. He kept Chelsea in the game, but then as the momentum moved towards Chelsea beating Liverpool near the end, it was all Kelleher. I'm talking like in the 20th minute, he made that point-blank save on Cole Palmer. Yes. He made another one late in regulation. It was a wonderful, wonderful affair. But I'm going to say right now, while Carabao Cup, while Liverpool are lifting this particular trophy, it might have been a Pyrrhic victory because their depth, everything gets tested. And you're heading into a really busy end of the year. We've got 12 Premier League games left, and pretty much every competitor is still in Europe in the Premier League.
Very true.
It's crazy.
Very true. And referring to what you just said, Liverpool played in this final against Chelsea without Mo Salah, without Szoboszlai, without Curtis-Jones, without Matip, without Alisson. Gravenberch even got injured in this game, without Diogo Jota, without Darwin Núñez, and this Chelsea team, the 1 billion was spent, couldn't do the job that they must have done. Cole Palmer was the best player of Chelsea. Still is. He's under 21. That shouldn't be the case. Chelsea spends 1 billion, they should be competing, and they should be winning against the Liverpool B team with all these players out. But once again, world-class Virgil van Dijk made it happen. Klopp was in four fronts to win 4 titles. Klopp has won one of the first titles with the Carabao Cup. He's still in 3. FA Cup, Europa League, and the Premier League. And that's the greatness of Jurgen Klopp. He doesn't spend 1 billion like Chelsea, but he gets the job done. Robertson, what a legend. References were created. Trent Alexander-Arnold, and many more. That's why in this video, we'll be talking about who are the best managers in the world of football, and Klopp must be in that discussion because the greatness of what he does consistently every year with Liverpool.
The one thing that is very, very apparent to me is that whether you're an 18-year-old kid walking into the team due to injuries, or you are, Simicas coming off the bench every now and again, or you are Joe Gomez, right, who is like the ultimate Swiss Army knife for them. And I know he gets ridiculed from time to time, but listen, every one of these players knows exactly how Jurgen Klopp wants them to play the game of football. Relentless pressing. And even if their technical abilities or their tactical awareness it's not yet up to speed to be a part of that 11, they're still bathed in the fact that like Jurgen Klopp is like, this is what he wants done. And they were outmatched at times, and Chelsea should have put that game away, and they didn't. A lot of it was because these guys are just built in the influence of Jurgen Klopp. And that is going to be so interesting to see when this Jurgen Klopp has already called Liverpool 2.0. We got to remember, Liverpool has gotten rid of Milner. They got rid of Oxlade-Chamberlain, Jordan
Mane.
Henderson, Roberto Firmino, Sadio Mane, all of these guys. Liverpool 1.0 is gone. 2.0 is here. On top of that, Klopp is gone at the end of the season. I'm going to say it. If his job was to hand off Liverpool in a obviously a better state than when he came in, well, I think he's pretty much damn well done his job. I am just like, who is going to take over for the Reds from here on out? That's going to be insane to figure out.
Especially because we're going to mention in this video the best managers in the world to be taking over jobs like Liverpool. Comment who you think we're going to be suggesting. But the big question in the Premier League, because of last season, they bottled it. I don't believe they did because Man City's greatness is more than evidence. But can Arsenal win the Premier League? My answer is no without a striker. I respect what Kai Havertz is doing. I think he's playing better. And every time Kai Havertz scores a goal, Arsenal never lost a game. They actually won all of the games. But they need a new CDM because Thomas Partey is absent a lot of games. And they need a reliable striker because Saka cannot be your top scorer this season. 12 goals in the Premier League. No, more than 12. But Saka cannot be that player. They need to sign a striker, whoever it is. Dusan Vlahovic, I think Lautaro is impossible. But if Arsenal, next season, sign Dusan Vlahovic, I really believe they could take the pedestal from Man City and Douglas Luiz.
Interesting.
But I do believe Edu Gaspar is thinking in this scope of things. Because it's the last transfer. This summer is the last summer that I believe Arsenal will spend big bucks money with a new CDM, a new striker, a new center back, and maybe a new winger too. They're going to go bold. Yeah. It's going to be Arteta time. It's got to prove himself.
Well, yeah, and if he had laid out his plan in the phases that he had laid it out, I'm sure you're right. It's like, give me this type of backing for this many seasons if I can show you progress. And if not, obviously cut bait and get the heck rid of me. But I still believe in this Arsenal project. I do, and I've been a skeptic. There have been highs, there have been lows, and I just think we need to remember where we came from last season.
True.
Manchester City had to rattle off 14 wins in a row in the Premier League win. I don't know. I mean, unless they had a massive lead, that's not normal, Alex, right? That's not normal for any team, let alone a super club. That's not normal for a team to be able to do that. So you alluded to it. You said it, right? Previously, it was more Manchester City's insane quality in the second half of that season and almost flawlessness that won that last year. There was a run of form that hurt. Well, guess what? So far, with 12 games remaining in the season, that has not yet announced itself, right, in its entirety. There haven't been 14 games in a row won, and we've still got plenty of time. But it could be, and this is why my short answer is, can Arsenal win the title? My short answer is yes. They absolutely can.
Will they?
And I think they.
No.
I think they can. I think they can, though, without a striker. I think they have a better chance to win this thing than Liverpool do currently with the injury plague that is unfortunately affecting that room, right? Everything. It's pervasive, right? Salah can't even necessarily stay healthy for a long period of time. I know there's some resting, whatever. But back to Arsenal. We have to remember six Premier League games in 2024. They've scored 25 goals. They've conceded 3. They beat Liverpool, I believe, 3-1, right? In that one of those games. They've averaged 4 goals plus a game. And they still don't have said striker. They have conceded only 7 shots in the last 5 games, Alex. And this is a small snippet, because that's 1/6 of a season per se, or 1/7 of a season. But we are seeing something we didn't see last season with Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta, I think, was bit by the inability to be tactically flexible. And I am not holding myself out as any sort of a tactical genius. In fact, that is a very low point in my footballing IQ, right? But I have noticed some changes, playing Trossard. Now, some of it's out of necessity, but playing Trossard as a false nine, Havertz as a false nine. We've seen some things that have worked, but really it comes down to the cornerstone. We remember William Saliba went down last season. That's not the sole reason why Arsenal went down, but William Saliba is getting back into prime form. Gabriel is getting back into prime form. Defense can, in fact, win a Premier League title. And I think Arsenal has a better chance than Liverpool to do so. Then you ask me whether or not they're going to do it. I still can't get past the narrative of I can't say yes, they're going to do it. But I'm going to say that they have a much better chance than people are giving them credit for. Well, and I think Arsenal is the strongest contender right now.
I still believe the Jurgen Klopp last season mentality towards this locker room of Liverpool edges for me with Arsenal still. And I'm going to say this month of February has been unbelievable for Arsenal. They beat Liverpool 3-1. They beat Burnley 5-0. They beat West Ham in London 6-0. And they beat Newcastle 4-1. It's unreal. 25 goals scored in their last 5 games in the Premier League. But they still got the humble pie by Porto. They still had a game in the Champions League with 0 shots on target. And that happens because they have no striker. When clutch time comes, I see an Arsenal team that struggles. And it's because it's a young team still. They don't have all veterans in this team. Jorginho is perceived as a veteran because he's won a Champions League at Chelsea. And he deserves that role in that team. But I still believe a Liverpool squad with an Alisson, Van Dijk, a Salah, a Szoboszlai that is the captain of Hungary at 23. They have stronger leaders. And I believe the fitness is a problem, but it will be overcome.
Huge problem.
I think it will be overcome ahead of Arsenal.
Wow.
And
even with, I mean, Kelleher was great in the Carabao Cup, right? But he has also had some quote unquote howlers for them so far this season. Raya. So I don't know if that's a turning of a leaf. Oh, absolutely right. But Trent is out until mid-March. Alisson is out until the end of March. Diogo Jota is out until mid-April. Salah is kind of spot-worthy. Szoboszlai, same thing. We do have to, even their depth, like a Thiago is still on the table. I know that's kind of a joke, and I really shouldn't say that, but even their youth, we're going into the second part of the youth revival, right, at Liverpool, digging into the academy here. We've got Ben Doak that's not available for them. We've got Stefan Bajcetic. Remember when he came on the field? I mean, it goes so deep that for me is really, really tough to get hold of, considering, yes, their Premier League schedule, Liverpool's Premier League schedule is sort of easier, I guess you could say, compared to a Manchester City and an Arsenal's to end the season. But they also have Europe, and that depth is going to get just tested. Now, with Arsenal, Alex, they still have to go.
The longest servant of players at Arsenal is El Neni. And then you see the team of Liverpool. That's what I'm saying, the experience. Harvey Elliott, how many years has he been in this team? He's been more than 4 years. And he's a youngster still. It's mad. It's mad what we see still. Arsenal needs to win trophies. Arsenal needs to be a successful team in terms of silverware. Arteta, if he's trophyless this season, next season, it's going to be 4 years without a trophy. People need to start putting question marks. The foundations are built. Now it's time for success. Odegaard is your captain at 25. Saka is now 22. Martinelli's getting older. Saliba's getting older. Declan Rice cost 100 million. People expect results with what being spent. Man City, with Guardiola, in the same amount of time that Arteta's been at Arsenal, he's had results. Yes, he inherited a better team, but he had immediate results, and you need to do that. 4 years is a lot of time.
It is. But there has been progress. I mean, they are contenders. And I know we are saying that they need a striker. Well, it's not coming before the end of the year, right?
True.
And Bukayo Saka has done everything he can to step up, while Martinelli's been kind of flushed out here. But Saka, 8 goals in his last 7 games, 8 goals and an assist. And that is, you're right, it's the biggest reason they also won't win the Premier League this season, is the fact that they don't have the depth in their front three that a Liverpool has or a Manchester City has. We just listed almost every Liverpool player in the hospital, basically, right? In the physio room, and they still have a really dang good trio, as you like to call it, right? Up top, really potent because it's Luis Diaz. Darwin wasn't even on the field. I don't know if we mentioned that, but we probably did for this Carabao Cup. It is going to be the reason, I think, that front three is going to be the reason why, if Arsenal do not win this thing, it's why. But defense and set pieces can take you pretty far as far as the rest of the season goes. And set pieces for Arsenal, they're the best team in the league by far. They have scored 19, if I'm not mistaken, this season, 19 goals off of set pieces, 2 versus Newcastle alone. It was almost depressing to watch because they couldn't figure it out. Jacob Kiwior, Kai Havertz is good on this. Gabriel is good on this. Saliba's good on this. 30% of their goals this season have come off of set pieces. That's not counting penalties. That's not counting penalties at all. So I'm really intrigued to see because you're staring down a March 3rd Manchester derby, right? Now, United's nowhere close to the top 3. They're not getting there, right? I believe City will win it too, but hey, you want to play a really nice spoiler and have catch up a few point-wise if you want to at least get into Europe by the end of the season, go out, win the Manchester derby, which has obviously been blue for a very long period of time. But Arsenal, for me, the more I look at this team, I think that they have a better chance to win it, obviously, than Liverpool. And I am not going to say they're going to win it, but I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close to wanting to flip my vote, if you will,
Don't flip it,
from
Breton,
Manchester
please.
City to Arsenal.
Don't
I'm
flip
not
it,
going
please,
to.
Breton, because this is the main difference from the Arsenal squad and the Man City squad. It's the world-class proven players. And that comes with years of football heritage that Pep Guardiola has developed. World-class players in the City team. Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, Haaland, Ederson. Phil Foden is now a world-class player, ahead of Saka, in my opinion, with talent, because of the amount of titles he's won and the importance that he shows. 16 goals in February, just like Saka, true. And a Bernard Silva and a Ruben Dias, too, to add to these world-class players in this Man City team. This is the main reason why they're favorites towards winning the Champions League and to win the 4th consecutive Premier League title. That it would be the first time in the history of the Premier League because of this world-class amount of players in this team, in my view. And even I saw this stat and I was flabbergasted. I was shook. People, please listen to this. The goal difference of the last 3 seasons in the Premier League of Man United has been 15. Man City has been more than 170. More than 170. So you mean to say the goal difference of Man United and Man City is more than 155 goals. That is mad in the last 3 seasons. And it's a testament to one of the greatest teams we've seen ever in the Premier League with Pep Guardiola. The job is more than seen. It's a historic era, what's happening now. And it's more than 10 times what Man United have. And so I wanted to change here because I think that Arsenal, we disagree, and I respect that, but I still want to know this. And I think Porto against Arsenal showed a lot of underrated players in the world's perspective. Diogo Costa, for me, is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He showed it right there. Alan Varela, underrated. Galeno, underrated. Pepe, underrated. Evan Nilsson, João Mário, many quality players play for this Porto team, and even Chico Conceição, that irritated many Arsenal fans because of his talent too, in my point of view. But I wanted to ask you, Breton, do you believe Arsenal will go through against Porto?
I do. Yeah.
I still believe that that's not the case. I want to see it. I want to see Arsenal grab the game by the neck and make it happen in the Champions League. And I'm a skeptical.
You are?
I'm a skeptical.
I hear that. I just know that the Emirates is a different place, and I'm not as worried as you are. It was an uninspired performance versus Arsenal, and this isn't talking ill of Porto, but I don't know if we were looking at Arsenal versus Sporting right now, or we were looking at Arsenal versus Benfica. Maybe,
No,
maybe just based on the quality we've seen. I don't know,
disagree,
man.
Brenton.
I think Arsenal will be fine. I think they'll go through.
I think
I think
Porto
they'll
in
go
the
through.
Champions League is the worst team that Arsenal could face of the Portuguese three. Even though Benfica has a better team on paper, Sporting has a great record in Primeira Liga, Sergio Conceição
Okay.
in the Champions League is different breed. And the truth is, the heritage of Porto in this competition, they won the Champions League this century. Did Arsenal win it? No, they didn't. And they have Arsene Wenger, that was one of the best managers in the history of football, and definitely in the Premier League. And they still bottled it. Arsenal never won a Champions League trophy. And even with Arteta, it's their first time in the Champions League. It's not Sergio Conceição's first time in the Champions League with this Porto team. So,
Easier route to get there. Get out of here. Easier route to get there.
Conceição knocked out Cristiano Ronaldo when he was at Juventus, a Porto team that was weaker. So I even think the CV, the experience, with time, I think more people will start putting question marks with Mikel Arteta. But let us know, do you agree or disagree with my take, or do you agree with Bretson with Mikel Arteta that is showing good signs at Arsenal? But Man United. Man United, for me, have the biggest question mark in terms of manager in the Premier League. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe will not be I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe will not be trusting Erik ten Hag to be the manager of Man United. He got Lisandro Martinez. He got Anthony. He was critical towards the Mason Mount coming to the club. And look at their output. It's non-existent. It's non-existent. Man United needs to do better. And honestly, I'm going to say, because I got a bit of some answers on Twitter because of this, and I'll say this confidently. Man United would be in a much better scenario if they had Ruben Amorim instead of Erik ten Hag. You may say it's Portuguese bias, but when you see this video in 2-3 years' time, you'll say this guy was right. Because what Ruben did at Sporting was greatness. They hadn't won a league title in 20 years. He developed many players at the club. João Palhinha, Ugarte, Pedro Porro, Nuno Mendes, Mateus Nunes, that even Pep Guardiola said was one of the greatest midfielders he's ever seen. He went bold with that statement, though. But Ruben Amorim was the man that made that happen. And Gonçalo Inácio that played 3 games for the under-23 team of Sporting. But for Sporting first team, 150. And that happens because Ruben says, no, he's way too good to be in the under-23 team, Gonçalo Inácio. That would happen with Kobe Maino maybe earlier with a Ruben Amorim presence. I feel that's a big question mark. Erik ten Hag is not the right guy.
Well, I'm in agreement with Erik ten Hag not necessarily being the right guy, but he's probably the only guy they've got right now. I mean, Ratcliffe can say what Ratcliffe says, but it takes a lot more to actually build out a plan. And he's got to wait until he assembles his group of Avengers, much like Chelsea tried to do before they started spending big bucks. But he's got to build his backroom Avengers to start to figure out what this next few years looks like at Manchester United. But Erik ten Hag, I think there is a little bit of denial, and there's probably a little bit of truth in that they are taking baby steps forward, I guess.
No.
By seeing a little bit of development. Well, there's a lot more than just Erik ten Hag. I mean, I don't see Bruno Fernandes being a part of this team moving forward. In fact, I'm getting annoyed by Bruno Fernandes and his constant bickering. I know that's a part of his game and the gamesmanship, but I'm getting just sick of seeing it. Højlund being out, the lack of depth, but a few pieces that have kind of hit. I mean, they need like another overhaul. And I don't know. But going back with what Erik ten Hag versus Ruben,
I like him.
But Ruben Amorim, I get what you're saying about him. But remember why Erik ten Hag was picked in the first place, too. I mean, it was riding on the back of what he had done with Ajax. Like, that can't be necessarily just swept under the rug. Just because you did it with a team in a smaller league, right, doesn't make it a less prestigious league or anything like that, or a wonderful development league. Ten Hag did the same dang thing with a bunch of 19-year-olds.
He had Overmars
with a bunch of 18
and Edwin van der Sar with him. Ruben Amorim, he's the man. He's the man.
Well, there you go. Get Van der Sar and get Overmars in at Manchester United and let them cook.
No. They won't cook
why
anything.
Not?
Because
why not?
I think will not go with that decision. Because
he's not going to go Portuguese.
I think Ruben Amorim would do a better job than Erik ten Hag. And I think with time, that will be shown.
But that's easy to
and
say.
Even
that's easy to say.
Why is it easy to say?
Well, I mean, that's just easy to say, right? We're not going to know. He's not going. Ruben Amorim will not be appointed Manchester United boss. So that's why it's easy to say.
He could be.
I don't think so. Not with Ratcliffe, and I don't. No. But
so you
anyway.
So I just want to get this on tape.
It's funny because
you say right now, if
Yeah.
you had to pick a manager between Erik ten Hag and Ruben Amorim, you'd pick Erik ten Hag.
I would, for continuity's sake, right now.
I'd never
Yes.
pick Erik ten Hag right now ahead of Ruben Amorim, and I think
you coming
will
from
be
the
shown.
person that was telling me that it's all about the top floor and waiting until that's in place
Ratcliffe's
and keeping
in
the
place now.
continuity at managerial. Well, he's been in place what, 10 days? I mean, he's barely been in place. Give the guy time. It doesn't happen overnight, nor should it happen overnight.
Exactly.
So I think a lot more needs. I do think a longer leash. Weirdly enough, because I have been heavily critical of Ten Hag like all season, right? I think there needs to be a longer leash beyond that. But you're right. If Ratcliffe comes in and he says, "I want no Ten Hag. I need to start this managerial search over," or they started that 6 months ago and there's already rumblings. Very different story. But I haven't heard anything of that just yet. Now, Ten Hag, you're right. He's swimming for his life currently. He is. He's saying, well, look, I handed Omari Forson his first Premier League start. I have Kabi Mainu. Well, we all knew Kabi Mainu was good enough before you did, sir, right?
Exactly.
But when it comes to it, nothing, you're absolutely right in that on the pitch, they just lost for the first time in 20 plus years at Old Trafford to Fulham.
Tell
right?
me one player that is much better
that is
with Erik ten Hag at Man United.
There is literally nobody right now.
Rashford had a glimpse.
And
Diogo Dalot showed a lot of hard work. I don't see any
Garnacho,
player that's
maybe.
better. Garnacho, I think that Salin would have shown with time. Kobe Maino,
Yeah.
I think that Salin would have shown with time. Casemiro, a world-class player in the past, and Man United
But you have
had
to
a
give-
good last season. But now, we're the leaders. And Anthony and Lisandro Martinez cost more than 150 million to Man
I'm with you.
United. And if we put Jadon Sancho in that same sentence, it's more than 200 million spent. So Erik ten Hag has cost Man United more than 200 million spent with three players, Anthony, Sancho, Lisandro Martinez, and none of them are showing world-class results consistently. That is a real problem. And I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe will not bet on a man that creates big problems when in the past he had such an icon like Sir Alex Ferguson. And I'm not saying Ruben is the new Alex Ferguson, but Man United has to invest in the new big icons of the future of football. And Ruben is one of them.
Well, I mean, I think also one of the biggest issues, which we all knew was going to happen from day one after Sir Alex Ferguson stepped down, was that you can't necessarily hold everybody up to any sort of Sir Alex Ferguson comparison, because you're not going to get that. That's
Guardiola.
lightning in a bottle that was built over many years. So it really, I understand what like you're saying, but for me, the continuity from here on out is gonna. To be honest, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you get Amorim in and you have 7 of your center backs and right backs out, and your midfield, the Casemiro can't stay healthy and all that, you're doing a whole nother recycling and bringing in all new players, and it's just one after another. Some of this is not necessarily Ten Hag's fault. The injuries to very, very, very key players might not be Ten Hag's fault. But at the same time, I'm like, me, I've called for Ten Hag's head 3 months ago, and if they haven't done it yet, with Tuchel gone, with Pochettino should be gone, but he's not. With who's the other one? With Xavi taking himself out. If they haven't done it already, Alex,
can I ask you
they're not
this,
going to do it.
Do you believe that Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham has done a better job than Erik ten Hag at Man United?
Straight vibes.
I do believe
very targeted. Very targeted. Great. Yeah, I do believe it.
Mickey van der Ven, Papi Matarsar's better, Bissouma's better, Pedro Porro's better. Udogi was a great beginning with Ange Postecoglou. Richarlison has improved with Ange Postecoglou. You don't get the vibe of these types of improvements and these types of correct signings with Erik ten Hag. And for me, that makes it more simple than it is. So I think Omar Berrada will take the things as critical as they are, and he will know that this is the time that he has to invest in a world-class manager, because every top team will be leaving with their managers are leaving. But we're going to refer more to that in this video. Stay tuned in episode 145. And my last note with the Premier League, I just wanted to mention this because it's a mad lineup. Phil Foden is the best Man City Academy product we've seen. 16 goals this season. World class right now, but the list is unreal. Jeremy Frimpong, Cole Palmer, Jadon Sancho, Felix Nmecha, Rico Lewis, James Trafford, Romeo Lavia. The products of Man City have shown their quality, and this is one of the best academies in the world of football. Again, they know how to sell even their academy products. Something that Man United, me and you, believe they have a lot of talent. Anibal Mejri leaves for how much? He should have left for a lot more. Or whoever
I know.
that we've seen in the past year. Zidane Iqbal, 1 million to Utrecht? Come on.
And he's barely playing though, so maybe they were right in that. I'm gonna say something right now. I mean, the development of Manchester, I guess there is development, but Romeo Lavia also started at Anderlecht and obviously did a lot of his development there. And the same goes for a couple of those guys that you announced. But if there is one thing that Manchester City has accepted, that for some reason the rest, as you alluded to, as the rest of the Premier League has not accepted as well, is the way to market them and the way to sell them, right? You know that it is one of the most impossible first teams to get in on the planet.
True.
So why hold them hostage and hold them back when they could be out there? Because you didn't even mention, right? You did mention Savia, Jan Couto over at Girona. They can make their own stories. And there is enough competitive football out there that needs to be played that these guys can take the long way back if they'd like to the first team, or they can go on. They can help the club that helped to develop them monetarily, and they can forge their own path forward. Why that has not happened with other clubs, it just, like
Tottenham.
Chelsea, I guess, kind of paved the way.
I think
Spurs is horrendous at it.
The academy
They're
is
horrendous
so
at it.
quality, and they should get better.
Right.
A lot. I think Daniel Levy should be one of the points that fans should be critical with Levy. It's the way he sells the academy players. Troy Parra was once seen as one of the best young strikers in the world. Where is he now? Dean Scarlett. It's so true. Oliver Skip was once perceived as a baller. Alfie Delvin, one of the best players, young players in Premier League under 18 leagues. So they should do better. They should do 100% better. But let us know. Do you agree? Do you disagree with our statements? Because this was a really good talk in the Premier League talk. Will Arsenal win the league? Let us know in the comment section down below. But now, we mentioned managers big time in this episode 145 at the starts, and we hinted to this topic. Top 5 managers in the world right now in football. It's a bold list. It's going to be controversial for many people. I've got my list. Breton is going to be reacting towards it, being that critical listener, because it's good to have that. But let us know in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with the choices? Because personally, I watched Saturday Night Social of Sky Sports on YouTube, and I was shook with a man named Lawrence. That was the guy that did live streams with True Jordy. That is negative ball knowledge in my view. That's top 10 list that they did. So please do not tune into that one. Tune into this one, because this is the one. This is the one. Trust people, okay? So top 5 managers in the world right now, and I believe are the best. I put number 5, Simone Inzaghi. What Simone Inzaghi has been doing at Inter has been a masterclass with 3 at the back. Pavard, Bastoni on the other end. The fluidity that he shows, the unique style of play too, is deserving to be mentioned in the top 5 list. Simone Inzaghi is underrated in my point of view. He's going to win 2 Scudettos in a row. He won the Coppa d'Italia. He has made Lautaro Martinez a world-class striker this season with Marcus Thuram next to them. And Di Marco and Bastoni is the best left side in terms of defensive capabilities. Barella wants to stay. Sanyanoglu wants to stay. Maybe Bastoni wants to stay. But the truth is, Internazionale, the Nerazzurri, know how to do business because of Simone Inzaghi being there. So he is my
Fair
fifth
enough.
place. Do you think that's right, Breton? Or do you think that's
Uh,
fair?
I'm okay. First, I got to hear the other four. I'm okay with him in fifth. And I had a conversation with someone the other day that thought we were talking about Pippo Inzaghi, Filippo Inzaghi. So it's really, really interesting that some people don't realize that ain't him as manager of Inter. But yeah, I mean, Lautaro, though, he's been doing it a while, but this season, whew, different
Different
dude.
breed.
And to get Marcus Thuram, to get Barella hasn't even really gotten going this season for them just yet. But to get what they've gotten out of that Inter side, in my opinion, still could lift the Champions League trophy. They could get back to that final.
You put Man City, Real Madrid, and Inter in the third position to win the Champions League?
I would actually, yeah.
The odds, the bookies put Arsenal in the third position. So that, for me, is not deserving to be in the third position, especially against that game at Porto. Inter, when they beat Atletico, they tell the world we're here to win it. So that's why fifth place, Simone Inzaghi, that beats El Cholo. But that's going to be a hard game in Wanda Metropolitano. My fourth place in the best top 5 managers in the world right now, I'm going to put the unbeaten manager, Xabi Alonso. Why don't I put him third, second, first? Well, watch the full video. But I think Xabi Alonso is a new manager in the block. And what he's done to be in the top 5 managers in the world right now, ahead of a Pochettino, ahead of a Tuchel, ahead of an Arteta, in my view, is unreal. They were 17th when he started with Bayer Leverkusen. Now they're an unbeaten team in all competitions this season with the right transfers of Xhaka, Hoffman, Grimaldo, all home runs. Boniface, and are all home runs because Xabi Alonso is on the helm. So he's my fourth place in the best managers in the world right now. Xabi Alonso.
That, as much as I love what Xabi Alonso has done this season, I love what he's done to Bayern Munich even more. 11-time winners of the Bundesliga straight, and he's got them sweating bullets. Not only that, he's got them probably huddled in some bunker right now, trying to figure out how to pry this man away from Bayer Leverkusen. But if you're going to put him in here and no Arteta, and no, I mean, it seems like you might be alluding to some other omissions. I might have an issue with that. But because he hasn't won anything just yet. Now, we'll see what happens. He is on his way to potentially winning the Bundesliga. Only they can really mess things up, right? But the work self is very clearly doing work. 33 games unbeaten. And Xabi Alonso, you're right, is the sole reason. He's another vibes check, right? He's a great, it looks like he's a great tactician. True. He's a great players manager. And everybody on that team knows exactly what their role should be, or know exactly what level of freedom that they have in this Alonso setup. And obviously when you're playing wingbacks that are the most potent wingbacks on the planet, and Jeremy Frimpong and Alejandro Grimaldo, you've got my attention
because of his
day one.
Play.
So
they're the most potent.
Yeah.
Because of him.
But
that's the reasoning. And why do I put a Xabi Alonso ahead of Arteta? He starts Leverkusen in 17th. They're right now in the DFB Pokal. They're right now in the Bundesliga. They're right now in the Europa League. And the heritage of Leverkusen, they haven't won a trophy in their last 30 years. They have never won a Bundesliga title. Xabi Alonso is that variable. Arsenal has the facilities to do better. And thank God they're doing better now with Arteta. But I think they could have done better. I think a Xabi Alonso, in the same period of time than an Arteta, maybe he would have won the Premier League by now. Maybe.
Ooh,
it's a bold statement. Maybe.
He was still kicking it in Real Sociedad's reserves teams or something at that point in time. But I'm with you.
Xabi Alonso, this manager.
But with Xabi Alonso too, there's a depth there right now that has. I mean, there's no doubt he's the best Bundesliga manager.
Yep.
But with the depth of it, you mentioned like all the ones that hit Boniface, but the other ones that are kind of unknown in terms of the transfers. Like a Nathan Tella.
True.
This guy was kicking it with Southampton in a relegation season, and he's using him as a right wing back, and he's using him to really great effect. You were also getting Amin Adli, who was in Ligue 1. Not exactly like an amazing scorer in Ligue 1, but came over, and he has been incredibly serviceable. I'm more, believe it or not, impressed with what Xabi Alonso has done with Bayer Leverkusen's role players than I have their star players. And that's like, that's a minute difference for me because they've all been phenomenal. But they have been, I always talk about that proverbial like kick in the teeth or punch in the gut. Leverkusen has gotten it already this season with Boniface out with injury after 4 straight Rookie of the Months awards in the Bundesliga.
True.
And they're still firing on all cylinders. They still beat Bayern 3-0 and basically get Thomas Tuchel to put his head on the chopping block. Like it's pretty intense. But until he does it outside, if he lifts the Europa League trophy this year, if he brings them back into Champions League, and then, God darn it, if he stays at Bayer Leverkusen and leads them to a not a hierarchy, a dynasty of their own, then I will applaud Xabi Alonso. Alex, I've said this to you previously. I would love for Xabi Alonso to stay at Leverkusen. I don't think this is a flash in the pan, lightning in a bottle type of situation. I think that they actually have what it takes to win this thing multiple years in a row. So I would love to see that.
Stay. But even though, if they don't win the Europa League, for me, it's a success. With the season, with the squad he had last season to get to the semifinals, for me, it's a success already. And then to get another semifinals this season, I think that would be awesome. Leverkusen right now are my second place to win, the second favorite towards winning the Europa League. My first, well, it hints with the third position of manager. I think the third best manager in the world right now is Jurgen Klopp. It's going to be his last dance at Liverpool, but in his last dance at Liverpool, he still plays the B squad in the Carabao Cup and he wins it. And they're still in the Premier League, FA Cup, and Europa League. That happens because of the good job that Jurgen Klopp built throughout these years with Liverpool. Robertson, Trent, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson, Henderson in the past, a captain that was needed at Jurgen Klopp to appear in the Liverpool squad. He is the main difference. He is the variable. Jurgen Klopp was the man to beat Bayern Munich last time towards winning a Bundesliga and was the last man towards beating Pep Guardiola in a Premier League title. He is my third place in the best managers in the world. So I have Simone Inzaghi in fifth. I've got Xabi Alonso in fourth, and I got Jurgen Klopp in third.
I have no issues. I have no issues with that. And the funny thing is like you just mentioned all of his star players. And it's just so insane to think that literally none of them were on the field at Wembley to win that Carabao Cup. Instead, it was
only Virgil van Dijk.
You're right, Virgil van Dijk, and of course, he's the one that makes the difference there. Shout out to Ibrahima Konate, to Andy Robertson. On that day, Luis Diaz was pretty insane as well. But no, it was the guys he brought on near the end. Right? It was Dan's up top. You had McConnell, I think, in the middle. You had Clark in the middle. You had Connor Bradley coming off of a really, really topsy-turvy time personally. So it's nice to see. Well, I'm jealous. I think everybody, managerially, you should be jealous of whoever does take over Liverpool. I mean, the future still should be bright if they can do everything in the vein of Jurgen Klopp.
It's a very hard job because matching Jurgen Klopp is almost an impossible job. Almost because I say Xabi Alonso could be that guy. But let's wait and see if that happens. But we're going to be referring to other managers that could be taking over, even though it's not a Xabi Alonso in this video. Who do you think is my second place in the best managers in the world, Breton?
Not Diego Simeone. No. I mean, it's like one of two, and I'm pretty certain you're not going to do this. So I'm going to say it's Diego, or no, it's Carlo. I don't know why I just said Diego. Carlo Ancelotti for Real Madrid as your number 2. Is that correct?
That is very correct. Carlo Ancelotti for me is the second best manager in the world. My first place, well, if you don't know, you should know. And if you don't know, you have no ball knowledge. Is Pep Guardiola the best manager in the world? But Carlo Ancelotti is my second place because he's won at Real Madrid every single possible trophy. He's won 11 trophies in his time in the club. That is full heritage. And Carlo Ancelotti is the manager with most finals, most Champions League ones, and most wins in the Champions League. That is football heritage once again. And this time at Real Madrid, he develops Fede. He develops Vinicius. He develops Bellingham redefining the 10th position. He's the variable. And I can't wait to see Hendrik with Carlo Ancelotti. That Hendrik and Arda Güler people, they're not going on loan. If you think they're going on loan, you have no ball knowledge, because they are going to see the greatness assembled next season in person in that locker room, learning from the best. If Toni Kroos stays another season, you have veterans like Kroos, Nacho, Carvajal, Courtois. Militão can even be considered a veteran. He was bought from Porto 50 million how many years back? It's unreal what's been happening. So that's why I put Carlo Ancelotti in my second place. And if he was at Everton, I wouldn't put him in my second place right now. If he was. He improved. He showed that age is just a number, Carlo Ancelotti, because I'm sure many people wouldn't put him the best top 5 managers in the world when he was at Everton. And now at Real Madrid, he reinvents himself and shows the genius that he is, especially with the amount of injuries that they've had this season. And they're top in La Liga, and they're fighting for the Champions League. Madness in my point of view.
The seamless integration of Jude Bellingham, I think, is up there from a tactical perspective. And on top of that, like he's proof that a quote unquote old dog can be taught new tricks, even though he's the one doing his own teaching, or he's the one doing his own whatever in terms of his own professional improvement of himself. So yeah, Carlo Ancelotti's up there. Obviously, I mean, coming off a treble season, it's hard to put him in front. Last season, we might have had Ancelotti first, coming off of their win in the Champions League. But maybe not this year. But yeah, Ancelotti moving forward, there's a reason why this guy had on the table the ability to go join the Brazilian national team heading into a World Cup cycle. And when all is said and done, he decided, no, the grass is definitely still pretty dang green here at Santiago Bernabeu. Yeah. So, and basically, I've got all of Brazil here with me anyway. But you did see Toni Kroos. Yes. He might come back for another season if he's actually coming back for the upcoming Euros for Germany. Germany got a nice little shot in the arm for Germany ahead of this summer, knowing that Toni Kroos will be back in the mix. And on top of that, I think he is playing defense because Palmeiras is asking for Endrick until the end of this year. And I'm pretty sure Real Madrid is saying absolutely not.
100%
nope,
no.
I want him stuff.
That's why we kept Ancelotti. We needed to develop these types of players. No, 100%.
Very true.
And even a detail, I mentioned in the Champions League prediction, it's coming out this week, but a detail that I think the listeners of the podcast need to know, it's every Real Madrid player in that locker room has to do a speech mandatory, and they rotate between the players. So that shows accountability from every player. That's why Camavinga does the speech in the Super Cup final. That's why. Okay. And that is a detail that shows the greatness in terms of managerial job that Carlo Ancelotti does in that locker room. So my top
Does he do it?
Sorry.
English and French. Does he do it in English or French?
I'd say
or Spanish.
Spanish. Every Real Madrid player learns Spanish. I think Mbappe, Takefusa Kubo even said it after the game of Real Sociedad PSG. I was surprised with how well he spoke Spanish. Well, he was told that he has to learn Spanish. It's Real Madrid's heritage, the Spanish heritage. It's Madrid. It's the royalty of Spain. That's why there's tension between Barca and Real Madrid, but that's a whole different topic. Top 5 managers in the world right now, in my view, Simone Inzaghi, I put him 5th. Xabi Alonso, I put him 4th, unbeaten, but he still has to prove a lot towards being ahead of these top 3, in my view. Klopp 3rd, 2nd Ancelotti, and 1st Pep Guardiola. Greatness in full action. I'm consistently shook with Pep Guardiola every season that passes by. And to see how dominant Man City were against Real Madrid last season, that happens because of Pep Guardiola redefining the way he plays football. John Stone is in a unique position. Bernard Silva and Kevin De Bruyne, you can't contain both. Real Madrid couldn't contain both. And if they can't, no one in the world could that year. So Man City, we saw greatness that year. But in my list, I have no Arteta, I have no Ange Postecoglou, I have no Pochettino. I'm sorry, Premier League fans. Who would be the manager that you would put in the top 5, Bretson? Or close to the top 5?
I would take out Xabi Alonso and I'd put in Mikel Arteta just because of the level of where he's doing it at. Neither of them have won trophies. But listen, the plan is the plan. And he's got one of the best defenses in the Premier League. They're in Europe.
Simeone ahead of Arteta, maybe.
Diego Simeone, is that what you just said? Yeah, Diego Simeone is the other. I call Diego Simeone the managerial version of like a cockroach. That sounds terrible,
Nah, the
but
guy's
it's
crazy,
actually
man.
well, yeah, he's crazy, but at the same time,
In a good way.
you always think he's on his way out of
Mhm.
Atletico Madrid, and then he's just there. He's
True.
right there under the kit, under the refrigerator, under the oven, walking right under your boot. But obviously, he's a hell of a manager. Has been very stubborn in terms of how he does things. But come on, look at the longevity of what he's done for Atleti, and this year is no different.
True.
He's been able to keep Atleti
And they're in a rebuild.
constantly in the conversation. They are, even while in a rebuild, and I think that's what's so crazy about that. The other one, let me just see. You mentioned.
I think Zidane is the biggest name that wasn't in the top 5.
Yeah.
But we don't put Zidane in the top 5 managers in the world right now because we don't see it. We don't see Zidane as a manager. But if Zidane goes to Bayern, Nick, he's immediately in the top 5 with the amount of success he can conquer with that team. Come on, a three-peat in the Champions League never happened. A back-to-back never happened.
Zidane is too busy hawking so rare and stuff. He's making enough money sitting on the sidelines than actually going in and managing. But like, I'm tired of people calling Zidane a manager. He's got to actually manage something for me to be a man. Like, we're riding the coattails of what was obviously an don't get me wrong, please, people. Don't kill me. Right? But he's an ex-manager until he gets back in the game. Other ones I would mention, but you're right. I probably wouldn't have him in the top 5. Unai Emery, what he's done, obviously in the Midlands, what he's done for Villa. We got to remember, he's only 8 points off the Premier League title right now. I mean, this Premier League title is not like one win. You're not scoring 105 points to win the Premier League this particular season. But the project continues with Unai Emery in 4th place. He's looking to consolidate that 4th place, and he's doing it with not as many injuries as like a Newcastle or a Liverpool right now, but quite a few, especially the defense. Boubacar Kamara's out with a busted ACL again. Ezri Konsa, Tyrone Mings, Diego Carlos is in and out and in and out. It's infuriating, but yet they play a way that I am constantly signing in. I'm constantly watching Aston Villa games, just like I will tune into Spurs games because of the way Big Ange plays. But any man that turns Ollie Watkins into a true Premier League weapon deserves to be at least 6th or 7th on the top managers right now list.
No,
but
it's mad. Ollie Watkins is the first player in the top 5 leagues to have 25 goal involvements. That happens because of Unai Emery. Unai Emery did take the best out of Cavani when he was at PSG too. So he works really well with strikers. Tuchel was another snub, I said. But managers that could one day be in the top 5, I think Arteta should be in that conversation. I think Ruben Amorim should be in that conversation. Thiago Motta should be in that conversation for what he's doing at Bologna. De Zerbi at Brighton. Very interesting. If he goes to Barca, that would be bold. Nagelsmann, I think, deserves to be in that conversation of maybe one day being in the top 5. So a lot of talent is brewing in terms of managers. Farioli will still at Stade Reims. There's many bold takes. Many bold takes.
I don't know who I don't know who the Brest manager is. The Brest manager, but he's got them doing well in Ligue 1. But Michel at Girona, 48-year-old, you got to keep him up there. Like even though people have kind of found out Girona after that Real Madrid loss, they're still in. They could finish 2nd, right? And City Football Group me all you want. I don't really care about that because they have not spent likely all the money that could have been allocated for the transfers, considering that their club record transfer was 8 million euros or so with Artem Dovbyk. So Michel definitely deserves some love. Big Ange deserves some love. And then we got to go to the Eredivisie, Arne Slot and Peter Bosch. Peter Bosch, at least at PSV Eindhoven. I know he has branched out elsewhere, but Peter Bosch understands PSV Eindhoven. I don't know if he should leave anytime soon, but the PSV that I'm watching this season is so fun to watch. So at least for sheer enjoyment, top 12 or something, right?
For sure. And Ricardo Pepi scoring goals too, so I understand you got a bit of a feel with Peter Bosch.
Malik Tellman, Serginho Dest. Come on, you got all the Americans in there.
They're unbeaten still, and they won what? 7-1 this weekend? It's mad. Johan
Yes.
Bakayoko
Yeah.
playing the way he is. But one thing's for sure. This is going to be a mad summer in terms of managers moving places. Barca needs a manager. Bayern Munich needs a manager. Liverpool need a manager. I think Juventus will be needing a manager. I think Milan will be needing a manager. Man United, we had the talk. I think they will be needing a manager with Erik ten Hag out. Newcastle, I don't think Eddie Howe's that guy. And Chelsea, I think maybe we'll be needing a manager with Pochettino leaving. This summer is going to be bonkers. Bonkers.
It is going to be bonkers. And I just need to, again, register my annoyance. Obviously, I had an annoyance with Xavi not leaving Barcelona, period, if he thought he was doing more harm than good. Thomas Tuchel, the same exact thing. What's with this, like, let's just keep him in his job for 6 more months so we could buy ourselves some time to find a new boss? Why would he even want to stay there, unless it's for money? Why would he want to stay there knowing that he is on his way out? Like, just leave. Just fire the guy. What happened to just straight firing somebody? Right?
It's difficult,
but
it's difficult.
I don't know,
the
man.
managers, the players. I think Harry Kane is the biggest endorser of Thomas Tuchel. But honestly, from what I see, I think Kimmich doesn't like him. I think Thomas Muller doesn't like him. I think Alfonso Davies doesn't like him. This is a conspiracy, what I'm saying. It's only from pure vibes from what I see. But on the pitch, Kimmich is not happy. Muller is not happy. And Kane is that guy. He's the man that's saving Thomas Tuchel.
But again, I do think that a lot of the the common ingredients of the last 11 years at Bayern, I think they're also part of the problem, right? Now, they know how a place should be run, but they know how a place should be run over the past decade, right? What has worked over the last 11 years for Bayern, and obviously many years prior to that, might not necessarily work the next 11 years, especially, right? Well, the identity... But there is a way to, how you preserve the identity? I don't know. You actually foster your academy and blood players and bring them in.
Pavlovic.
Right?
Kimmich?
Yeah, Pavlovic
Stuttgart.
is
Okay,
literally like,
well,
Kimmich is like old. But
Jamal Musiala comes from Chelsea, yes, too. But I do see that Bayern Munich are aware of that.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? Still bought. So I get you.
But yeah, we're like, you got Jonas Krotzig, I guess. They let Kenan Yildiz go to Juve.
True.
Who else? I mean, there are others we can look at. They have a lot of strength within that Bayern academy. And I'm not saying that is like, it wasn't always the lifeblood, but think about the Bayern that you and I think about, right? True. It's like Lahm. Of course, I'm going to blank on all the names right now. You're talking about guys that, right? And Kimmich was in the Bayern, but he was also elsewhere. He was at Stuttgart previously to that. So there's a lot. I think that the identity of Bayern has been slowly eroding away over the years anyway.
No.
Even though they keep winning.
You know why I disagree with you? Because that when I say identity is not just German players that come from the academy. It's the actual league too. Mats Hummels, Robert Lewandowski, Kimmich wasn't there. They signed the best players inside their own league, Bayern Munich. That's not been happening. They're investing more outside of the league. Matthijs de Ligt.
Yeah, but whose fault is that?
Whose fault is it? I think it's of the Bayern board too. Yes, I think they have. Yeah, okay. I think they're to blame. Yes, when they leave a Cristiano Ronaldo go, for me, it shouldn't have happened. I wanted to see, but that's a very specific topic. But I think they should be doing better than what they're doing in terms of recruitment inside their own league. I think they need more players from the Bundesliga. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But let us know your thoughts about the top 5 managers. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comment section. Other managers that we didn't refer. Go bold in the comment section and like this video. Now, MLS. Who is going to win the MLS? The big topic. And I wanted to start by saying, for the bookies, the MLS Cup favorites are in number 5, Philadelphia Union. Then number 4, we got Cincinnati. Number 3, we got Columbus Crew. Number 2, LAFC. And number 1, Inter Miami. Where is the Galaxy with Ricky Puig? That was not the right move, Ricky Puig. You're not going to win the MLS Cup now with Messi and Inter Miami.
No, I mean you're probably not. I suppose. Here's the thing with Major League Soccer. Period. Those bookies, that thing, the whole point about Americanized sports, the salary caps, the cost controls, the intent is parity. The intent is flip of a coin. It's probably, believe it or not, even though I'm going to mention a lot of these favorites that you just mentioned that the bookies are putting money on, right? It could be somebody that catches lightning in a bottle in the season because, yes, you have your Leo Messis, right? That always puts Inter Miami in the favorites category, 100%.
Busquets.
100%. Right. Busquets, the whole cadre of players behind them, the young players. They got that Federico Redondo deal over the line. That's a massive deal. They had to get rid of like 4 players in order to do it, so it's going to affect their depth moving forward. Probably worth it. But here's the thing, Alex. There are teams, there are so many clubs in this, in MLS, the new MLS. They all have very similar cost controls. Some get a few, able to do whatever they want, a little extra latitudes.
Yes.
But in the end, it could be anybody. It's really hard to defend a championship, which is why to say Columbus means that they are going to operate the whole season without having Cucho Hernandez injured, Diego Rossi injured, Aiden Morris injured. Wilfred Nancy, though, very simply put, is one of the best young coaches in the league, and I fully expect him to wind up eventually in Ligue 1 or elsewhere abroad. I think people will be coming in for Nancy because he took over last season and they won MLS Cup, right? They won MLS Cup, and that's pretty impressive. But star power, you can't look past Inter Miami. I said it in my Wonderkids, 20 Wonder Kids. I said it the last time. Anyone that obviously has Leo Messi, that's great. But Inter Miami will only win MLS Cup if all the young players that they have signed take not an incremental step, but an exponential step up this year to improve the depth of that roster.
Redondo will
because
be one
Messi's
of the best youngsters in the MLS. Straight off.
He should be. It's funny. Right after he was signed, Alex, I saw on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it, saw a lot of people saying, he was overrated anyway. He's overrated. Oh, look at that. Inter Miami just paid $7 million for Federico Redondo. He's going to be a very good MLS player. We'll see where his potential lies and how much of it was compilation tapes, but I think he's going to be phenomenal. But it's not just him. It's going to be Tomas Avilas. It's going to be Tyler Hall. It's going to be Benjamin Kramaski. It's going to be Diego Gomez, who had a goal on opening day. Facundo Farias, who's unfortunately out for the year with an ACL tear. It is going to be those young players that fill in that depth and make sure that it's not all Leo Messi taking on every team in MLS by himself with his merry band of brothers, right? And obviously it's also that for Inter Miami, and it's also Luis Suarez's knees. Now, his knees didn't seem to affect him for Gremio last season. He scored quite a few goals in the Brasileirão, but MLS is different because you've got 3,000-mile travel. You've got the
too.
League's Cup where they Brazil too. You're right. That's true. I picked, of course.
The rhythm is different.
Yeah.
I think in Brazil you have more rhythm, more consistency, and in MLS you have more times that you're stopped. You just stop. Luis Suarez, I think, doesn't improve with that. That can be. No. It might be good. It might be bad. But rumoredly, he has to inject himself before to play games. So it's a big commitment towards playing in the MLS. But the truth is, too, in this top 5, I don't have DC United. But Benteke scored a hat trick in this first weekend. I'm excited with the MLS because of these types of players. You have Thiago Almada in Atalanta. You have Lionel Messi, obviously, the star of the show, and Inter Miami. But a player like Benteke balling out at DC United is always good to see, too. And big respect towards Charlotte. Charlotte have a new manager, Dean Smith. But the average attendance of Charlotte in the 3 last season openers has been of 68,000 people. Those are bold numbers. And they started the 9th youngest player ever to start in the MLS, which is Nimfansha
Bershima. You got it.
Which I saw a bit of him in the Under-17 World Cup, and he balled out. He's a great winger to watch. Born in 2008. What?
Oh, it makes me sweat. 2008, I can't even comprehend that. That's unbelievable. But, you've also got, Alex, Pedro de la Vega out in Seattle playing in front of 50,000 plus every week. You've got in Chicago, they went and they bought Hugo Kuipers. They've got Brian Gutierrez, who unfortunately scored a goal and an assist against us at the game I was at last night. And you cannot count out, Alex, my Philadelphia Union. My Philadelphia Union, you got Daniel Gazdag, who should be going to the Euros with Hungary. You've got Julian Carranza, who was wanted by quite a few clubs, wound up staying in Philadelphia. You've got Kai Wagner, who was wanted by quite a few Bundesliga clubs, and Red Star Belgrade. You got quality young American, who we see walking around here all the time. He lives in my neighborhood. And this is, I'm going to say it, this is the last hurrah for the Philadelphia Union, in my opinion, before they start maybe kind of chiseling away at the roster and maybe trying to get a little younger or whatever. But Philadelphia Union have kept the same band of those guys, aforementioned guys, together. And Jose Martinez and Alejandro Bedoya is back, and Glesnes and Elliott. If they don't win it this year, I would expect some, not drastic, but some bigger changes in Philadelphia. But they're always in it because they play as the sum of all parts. And that, in the end, Alex, is generally what wins MLS, the sum of all parts. Columbus, they peaked at the right time last season, and Philadelphia needs to do that. My X factor for Philadelphia is going to be Quinn Sullivan, 19-year-old. You might recognize the name because going around X was not stuff about Quinn. It was about his younger brother, Kevin Sullivan, who is wanted by Dortmund and Barcelona and all sorts of teams. Yep.
Instagram.
But there you go. Yeah, he was up in the club with us, and I wanted to send my kids over to like take a picture with him, which is just ridiculous because he's 15 years old.
No, it's not.
But Quinn Sullivan is 19 years old, and they moved him into the midfield, and I think he is going to be a much better player this season. He was involved in a couple goals versus Saprissa, and he was involved in a goal, the game-tying goal in the final moments of the game last night for Philadelphia. But that's the thing. MLS has all the storylines in the world right now. One that might have skated under your radar, Alex, was Manchester United got poached away. One of their top young coaches. Erik Ramsey will be joining Minnesota United as the youngest MLS coach ever at 32 years old. He is the set piece coach, which is hysterical. He is the set piece coach for Manchester United, and he will be joining Minnesota United up there in the tundra in Minneapolis. Beautiful new stadium. They basically sell it out all the time, and they need direction, and they're apparently going to get it from a 32-year-old. And what's crazier is they appointed a new CEO who is one of the top CONCACAF scouts for City Football Group, and the CEO of Barnsley before coming and joining. So they're doing something a little bit different, and all of this is meant.
I'm putting my chips on them. If I hear City Group in the MLS, I'm putting those chips on them.
Well, then you might want to look at NYCFC because they are putting together a Wonderkid happy crew. They've got Jovan Mijatovic, they've got Agostino Ojeda, they've got Talas Magno, who is, we don't yet know exactly what his best position is, but they have put a lot of money, winger, but then they've gone out and they've signed Julian Fernandez, and they have signed Agostino Ojeda. So it's kind of like, where's he going to play? Is he playing up top? Nope. They got an 18-year-old Serb playing up top. So MLS, we're going to be doing the Wonderkid thing, looking at things, but come on, like, this is a fun season, a fun league LAFC. Because any one of these 29 teams can win it. And I will tell you right now, LAFC will not be the ones that do win it.
Come on, Hugo Lloris. You're the goalkeeper of LAFC. Make this happen, okay? First start in over like 300 days. I personally love to see Hugo Lloris. I think he's one of the most underrated keepers in his generation. Great. I think it's because he played for Tottenham, clearly. Because for the French national team, the heritage is shown. I think he's going to be the best goalkeeper in the MLS, Hugo Lloris. I'm going to go bold and say that. Just like the best player has to be Busquets, and the best player has to be Lionel Messi. Come on! If they're not in the team of the year, I'll be shook. Hugo Lloris, Busquets, and Lionel Messi. That has to be the case.
Roll that tape back, sir, one more time, right? I mean, it's like, so there is a little bit of Hugo Lloris is great, but they have Denis Bouanga, who was last year's Golden Boot winner. So, I say tongue-in-cheek that there's no way they're going to win it. It is LAFC. They have one of the most rabid fan bases, and the Galaxy are trying to catch up to them. They've made some signings this season, but I still think it's going to be the black and gold of LAFC, and not the yellow and blue of the Galaxy leading Los Angeles. But you got to watch out. 18-year-old David Martinez. He is widely seen as like one of the best Venezuelan prospects ever. And he just signed for LAFC. So, Todd Bowley, if you're watching out there, get your checkbook out, because I'm sure you're going to be wanting to sign a Venezuelan. Exactly. Sign a Venezuelan to go with your Ecuadorian flavor that you got there. But no, there's a lot of fun storylines. MLS just started, and we'll see. I mean, I'm not an MLS apologist here. They've done some dumb things in the offseason. I feel like they're missing an opportunity, but I think there are 29 teams here that have an equal shot at winning this dang thing. And that's kind of a fun thing to start out with. It's very different than what we're used to in the European leagues. Not saying I don't watch a crap load of European football every weekend, but MLS is different in that respect and infuriating in that respect. So pick a team, delve into it, see if you like it, and if it's not for you, you can move on. But don't just dismiss it because it's American, right?
Oh, watch the quality of football. I don't like something about
Growing.
MLS football. It's the fact that you play on AstroTurf. I think it should be full grass. I think the players deserve that respect, because the injury risk is much higher if you play on AstroTurf. Having a legend like Luis Suarez or Lionel Messi with a higher chance of getting an injury when you can prevent it beforehand, I think that's the respectful type of thing to do, as the MLS I think will be doing with time, especially in the World Cup. I think it'll be 100% grass pitches in the World Cup, because that has 100%. To be the case. It's the greatness. It's the greatness of the best competition in the world. So let us know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who are your favorites towards winning the MLS? Are you of the camp that Busquets, Lloris, Messi are going to be in the team of the year? Let us know in the comment section down below. And even the youngsters, because we mentioned Neem Fatscher. Who are the youngsters that you got to watch that we did post a video on YouTube? Go watch the 20 Wonderkids to watch video that Breton went absolutely bold. It's going to be in the comments, in the description of this video of episode 145 too. Thank you so much for listening to episode 145. Until now, don't forget to like this video. It's a huge help on YouTube if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And thank you for going bold with us another week.